What is going on, guys? My name is Tabz. Welcome to my channel. Well, you guys will already know this, but I wanted to do the first ever Airsoft video on my channel, being more of an informative video because I do enjoy teching these guns and doing all sorts of stuff like this. So the first thing we're going to be doing on this channel is actually installing one of these. You don't know what this is. It is a Tapp Airsoft V2 blade trigger. You'll see here on the other camera as well. And essentially what this is a very long trigger for doing really quick taps. Some examples I'll play right now. But yeah, so we're going to install this into my custom VFC rifle, as you guys can see here. And let's get started. So when you guys get this actual product, it'll come in a bag. It's made by a company name, I think it's Sculpto. They do 3D printing and of course dyeing and all that kind of stuff, custom work. And basically, like, I gotta be honest, it came in really nice packaging. I'd show you, but I don't have time to just rub my address off it and all that. Really nice package. Comes with like 50,000 packing peanuts just to make sure that it doesn't break. Although this is pretty sturdy. I don't think that's gonna break. I can't even bend it. So as you can see, it says blade there. I am going to be using multiple cameras. So I have the GoPro Hero 5 Black, as well as the webcam, which I'm not really enjoying too much, but it gives the best kind of setup of recording. So what I'm going to do is take this apart here while you guys are watching, just basically going through how to exactly install these triggers into your guns. So the first thing you're going to want to do, obviously, is take your upper half off, remove your buttstock, and then of course your buffer tube, and from there we'll continue. Anyways, I'm gonna get right to it. You know, I have a really nice pistol build coming up, but right now in Canada, that's where I'm from, by the way. In Canada, we're having a really bad postal strike with Canada Post, which is like one of the main postal companies over here, obviously. So I have about $300 or $400 in parts that are just stuck in a shipping container, waiting to be shipped out. And they've been in my city, in fact, for about a week now. See, that just pops out. I just want to make sure that I didn't lose the this piece here, which is the your fire selector plate, or your selector plate, or your whatever you want to call it. So with this here, this is your full, for me, my full gearbox, which is just HPA. And this is what I was talking about by the via the quick selector plate, or the quick spring change, is this wobbles. So like getting it all back together with the retention holding is kind of tough with a screw. But this is what you're going to want to be working with. If you're at the point where you can see your gearbox like this, you're absolutely ready to go. Now, I've sped this video up so that it didn't take as much time as it actually took while watching. But from this point in time, you'll notice my trigger's already a little modded, so there's no spring in it. As you can see, I can just tap. I'll give you guys a closer insight. So this is the trigger. So you can already see I don't really need much more, but this is going to give me the availability to put multiple fingers. As you can see, I got some pretty thick fingers. But let's take this bad boy apart. I don't really have to tell you what else to do here. I think you guys know how to take this apart. If you don't, again, I'm going to continue because this is kind of more of a basic beginner kind of thing. So there's going to be 4 screws at the top that you have to take off. 1 screw here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. So you're looking at a total of 8 screws. And I can't remember because I don't work on AEGs if you're supposed to take it apart on this side or this side, your right side or your left. From what I can remember, though, I do believe you take it apart with the left side facing the ground. I could be wrong here, because your gears might fall out. Not 100% sure. As I said, I don't work on AEGs. Once all the screws are out, as you guys can see, you can now proceed to gently open the top, and you will see your main compartment of your gearbox. For me, as I've said, I have a Polar Star F2 engine in here, so don't mind my wiring. It stays clean, and as you can see, that's the quick spring system that VFC has, and as you can see, it just barely fits in there. So we're going to go back up to the big cam, and I'm going to show you how to install your new trigger. Sadly, the camera quality will diminish as I zoom in, but it should be quite easy to see. So I'm just going to lift this up to uninstall it. Quite simple. Boom. That was my Angel Customs trigger. I've had that since this rifle was an AEG. I do believe... Okay, it didn't get caught there. So you're going to want to open up your trigger that you got here. I'm not going to be installing it with a spring in it. Ooh, this feels very nice, actually. This is the first time I'm holding it. It just came in the mail. So what you're going to want to do is obviously just place her down in the hole right here. So you guys will see it's now installed, so I can actually just hold this and tap. You're not able to hear it right now. I'll plug in the GoPro and plug in the motherboard and all that, so you guys can hear the clicking of the Polar Star itself. As you can see, it's installed, and if you listen very closely, so it's working perfectly. Now we just got to put it all back together. I also want to note, you do not have to do this, particularly if you are using the trigger spring. I just don't like the trigger spring. I like being able to have free flutter motion. So what I'm going to do here is just take my Dremel. I'm going to put it on a low setting, obviously, because I don't want to do too much damage to this. But you are going to want to go very slowly. This would be so much better with sandpaper. But we're going to go at it just a little bit with this. All right, we've taken like 5% of it off, as you can see, that little white. We're going to keep trying here. It's pretty much just test and see what works kind of thing. That seems to be actually perfect, like just at that sensitive range where it's not horrible, but it's not crazy either. That actually worked out quite well. All right, we're going to put the screws back in it. Now you're going to want to put the bottom 4 screws in. Those are the 4 screws that are going to tell you whether this is going to work or not. You don't have to do the top. It's just pretty much all the tension on the bottom that holds that trigger up nicely is what you're going to need. So that's all the tension I need. Let's see. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear that. I'll turn on the GoPro. That is ridiculous. So with the GoPro on, you'll actually be able to hear this now. Listen to this. Now, of course, you could always modify it so that you're not able to pull it all the way back. I do have some pull, like I have some after pull, but I'm never going to pull my trigger all the way back. I'll just do this. So that actually worked out perfectly. Now we can install it back into our rifle. All right, if you've made it this far, you're going to continue perfectly, and it's only going to get easier. So I'm just going to uninstall this really quickly. Just don't want to work with anything while there's a battery connected. The only thing while putting your gearbox back together that you want to worry about is making sure that your trigger actually lines up right here with that hole. Once that is done, you can go ahead and put all your screws back in. It's pretty much a reverse of what you just did. One thing I will help you guys with, because this is something that I would definitely want help with if I was unsure. So you're going to want to line it up like this. So I'll bring this closer to you guys. Line it up just like that. And then just slide her in. Should be fairly smooth. I don't have gears or anything, so it doesn't affect mine as much. And then you're just going to leave it like that. Pretty simple. With mine, I actually have a screw that somewhat holds it in place, so I just got to tighten that right here. So we're basically done. We have everything hooked up. I'm going to see if you guys can hear this. I'm probably going to have to talk while doing it, but you guys should be able to hear that. This is going to help with your trigger spam a shit ton. Honestly, any milsim players that like, I have no hate against milsim, you know, it's everyone has their own play style. I definitely don't enjoy milsim as much, but then again, I've never gone to like a 30-hour milsim. I don't think my fat ass would be able to handle that. But we're gonna put the rifle back together here, the last final steps. Want to make sure that this pin right here pushed down. And there you go. That is the rifle, and I'll hook it up to some air and we can see how it sounds.